So it's me, Calla, and I am a recovering person from an eating disorder. That was a really weird way to say that, but I'm in recovery from an eating disorder. That's how you say it. And I wanted to make this video about misconceptions and myths about eating disorders to help educate people, because I feel like there's a lot of myths out there that can be really harmful to just the general public and also people recovering from eating disorders. So the first misconception that is really harmful is that eating disorders only affect teenage, white, cisgender women. And this is simply not the case. One study reported, sorry, I have some notes down here that I'm just looking at. Self-reported eating disorders of trans individuals was 7.4% of the individuals that participated in the study, which is really significant. And 10 to 15% of people diagnosed with eating disorders are men, and the statistic is most likely not entirely true necessarily, because there's so much stigma around men and mental health that many men don't seek out treatment or professional diagnosis. So that statistic is most likely inaccurate. So yeah, but that's really all I have to say about this one. Is just like the statistics just like prove that that's untrue. And being in treatment, I've met lots and lots of people. Going along with the fact that eating disorders only affect a certain group of people, there's also a huge misconception that eating disorders have a look, and that look is a white, young, again, cisgender female who's emaciated, and this fact is really, really, really false. Eating disorders affect all different bodies, all different people from all the different demographics of life, and this misconception is really harmful to everyone involved, including people with eating disorders, because many, like I myself, me being a young white cisgender female, didn't think that I had an eating disorder because I didn't look the part in my mind, when eating disorders affect all different bodies and shapes, sizes, races, genders, cultures, literally anything that you can imagine. Eating disorders do not discriminate at all. It's just like any other mental illness, it doesn't discriminate. So, along with the physical look of eating disorders also don't have a exact look, as in behaviors and symptom use. Even with restrictive eating disorders, with binge eating disorders, people have different symptoms and behaviors that are disordered and that need help. And so even within like restrictive eating disorders, someone might be using X amount of symptoms but not these symptoms, and someone else could be using some of these and some of these, and everybody has different sources of trauma and body image issues and parts of thought processes that contribute to eating disorders that make everyone's eating disorder unique. And that is what makes treatment so difficult. Misconception is that eating cures everything. Excuse me. Eating and weight restoration is a small but significant part of treatment, and while it is very important for health and for recovery to be weight restored, eating is not the only part of recovery. Mental recovery is the hardest part of eating disorder recovery. How many times can I say recovery in a 1 minute span of time? And that's what takes the longest and the hardest work, and it's so different for everyone that I can't even explain what constitutes mental recovery at all. I mean, basically it's healing your relationship with your body, food, and whatever trauma and life circumstances that have made your eating disorder your coping mechanism for those things that have happened in one's life. So that's really the gist of mental healing and the very scratching the surface of what it means to mentally recover. And basically all I have to say is that physical recovery does not mean cured. Something else that is a big misconception, I think, at least from what I've heard from family and friends, is that they didn't know that eating disorders were an actual illness, and it's more so thought of as a choice. And obviously if something's a choice, then there isn't really a recovery for it, which is why it's really important to understand that eating disorders are not a choice, and that they are a mental illness and a physical illness, and that there is physical and mental recovery that has to happen to be able to have a healthy loved one and a healthy person, like, as a whole. This is just from Nina's website, the facts and data that I'm using, and from like other sources online. So the data could be leaving out some stuff, and it's really, really hard to study eating disorders. So I'm trying to be really careful about my wording and how I'm citing things. So yeah, every single symptom, binging, laxative use, over exercising, obviously restricting, purging, are all detrimental to one's health and can be deadly. So every eating disorder deserves help and deserves physical healing as well as mental healing, obviously. Disorders are not only based on body image. That is a big misconception that how many times can I say big misconception in this video? Especially that my family had, is that I just needed to work on my body image and then I'd be fine. There's so many factors and complex things that contribute to an eating disorder that it's so hard to work on like every single little thing and find out every single little thing that contributes to an eating disorder. And just because someone has insight into their eating disorder doesn't mean that they're automatically going to be cured. And yeah, that's basically all I have to say about eating disorders and body image. While they're very, very connected, they are not the only causes of each other, and that's really important that like the public and everybody knows. Another thing about eating disorders and body image, some eating disorders have nothing to do with body image at all. One eating disorder in particular that has very little, I don't want to say very little to do with body image, because I don't personally suffer from this disorder, is ARFID, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, where there's many different causes and reasons why someone might avoid certain foods, but it's specifically not classified as anorexia or another restrictive eating disorder, because the goal of avoiding certain foods is not for weight loss. It's for other reasons like textural, sensory, taste, like avoidances that are not related to certain fears about like calories or other fears related to weight gain. So I just wanted to like put that out there, but I won't really be talking any more about ARFID because I am by no means qualified to talk about ARFID. I know very little about this illness, and I just wanted to put out there that ARFID is a thing, and it's really, really important that people know that it's a thing, because like very little people know about ARFID, but it's also really serious and deadly. So that eating disorders have a lot of misconceptions tied to them, and if you think that you're suffering from an eating disorder, just because you find something online or you have these misconceptions doesn't mean that you don't have an eating disorder. And if you're suffering from disordered eating, diet culture, you don't have peace with food and your body, you deserve help. Whoa, my eyes just got like really weird. And all these things that I've talked about in this video are not the only misconceptions. Maybe I'll make a part 2, I don't know. But if you're suffering with your body image, trauma-related things, any mental health illness, you deserve to heal from that and get help. So please take everything that I've said in this video also with a grain of salt, because I'm not an expert on eating disorders. I'm just someone that's been through a lot of treatment and been through treatment for my eating disorder and is currently recovering. And these are things that a lot of people have chimed in about, and I've gotten a lot of people's experiences to collect for this video, and I just wanted to put this out there and get this into the world. So please take care of yourselves and social distance so that we all can live happy and healthy lives. See you later.